Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Kim, and welcome back to Nolan Month. Or what would have been a month, but, COVID rules. Let's just say welcome back to my Christopher Nolan series that has no formal name, because I wanted to review all of Christopher Nolan's movies in the month of July, because Tenet was going to be coming out in July. Well, it got pushed to September, so yay. But every cloud does have a silver lining, and Tenet is coming to theaters September 3rd, but I get to see it early, and I am so excited for that. But I also realized that I got 4 more Nolan movies to review, so I'm just going to binge through all of them for the rest of this week. Gonna put the AFI project temporarily on hold and just get all of Nolan's movies out of the way before I see Tenet. And so you're going to see a lot of Nolan content coming your way. And so without any further ado, let's get started by talking about, quite frankly, my favorite of Nolan's movies. It's the first one that I ever saw in theaters. I have so many memories with this movie. I've seen it 100 times over, and I just can't get enough of it. It is Inception. You have seen Inception. I've seen Inception. I think everybody has seen Inception, so me saying the plot is rather superfluous. But if for some reason you have never seen Inception, well, here is the boring version of the plot. Inception tells the story of a man named Cobb, played by Leonardo DiCaprio. He is an expert on stealing other people's ideas. No, he is not a plagiarist. He has a machine that he uses called Inception, where he can literally hack into people's minds and steal their ideas. But Cobb and his team are hired to take on their most dangerous job yet, when a businessman named Saito, played by Ken Watanabe, hires them to steal an idea from his nearest competitor's son named Robert Fisher, played by Cillian Murphy. As I said in my intro, this is the first Christopher Nolan movie that I ever saw in theaters. I have memories that still ring like I'm still there to this very day. The very prevalent memories for me. I even remember the standee that showed up in movie theaters. It was this standee about a lot bigger than this, but it was cylindrical looking, and all throughout the standee you would see characters like Leonardo DiCaprio and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and I believe Marion Cotillard was on the one that I got. And it was the catchphrase of "Time is the enemy, time is the enemy." I remember that sitting in the middle of the theater and thinking that was the coolest thing ever. I saw the movie several more times after that, and it's a movie that I still go back to just today. It's one of those movies that I know everything that happens of by memory, and I still go back and watch it 10 years after it was released. But I was fascinated to learn that Nolan conceived of Inception all the way back in 2001. Just for context, following his first movie was released in 1998. Can you imagine if Christopher Nolan released Inception in 1999 or 2000, around the same time as The Matrix? What a different world that would be. But Nolan created a rough idea of Inception and then put it aside to focus on other projects. And I am fully convinced that while I truly believe that Christopher Nolan has never made a truly bad movie, Inception is his magnum opus. Firstly, let's talk about the cast, because even though I said in my Prestige review that The Prestige had the most stacked Nolan cast of any of his movies, I still maintain that the best cast overall is in Inception. And not just Leonardo DiCaprio, who is just fantastic in this movie. You have Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Ellen Page, Tom Hardy, who is he's my man. Ken Watanabe, Michael Caine, because I think it's an unwritten law that Michael Caine appears in every Christopher Nolan movie, minus Dunkirk. And of course Cillian Murphy, who is great as he always is. And they all have their own different jobs to do. For example, Ellen Page, she's the architect. She builds the dreams. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he's the serious one. He's the planner. He makes sure everything runs smoothly. Tom Hardy is the funny one, but he is also the forger. He creates different identities and uses them to navigate through the dreams. Everybody is vital to making this job run smoothly, because it's not as simple as, plucking an idea from someone's head. The movie does a great job of showing that the true genesis of an idea is nearly impossible to fake. Cobb has done it, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. When Cobb asks Saito, how complex is the idea, Saito says, it's simple enough. But then Cobb just freaks out and he's like, no idea is simple when you have to plant it in someone's head. And Tom Hardy has a great line where planting an idea in someone's head is not just about the depth or how deep you plant the idea. It's making the subject believe that he or she came up with it in their own head. Basically, this is one big Rube Goldberg machine, and every part has to run smoothly, or else it's just going to collapse like a house of cards, or a top falling over. And not only is this movie incredibly well acted, but it just looks outstanding. In my research, I was shocked to discover just how much a lot of this stuff was practical effects. In a time where CGI rules the day, Nolan is a very staunch anti-CGI stance. As a matter of fact, Nolan is quoted as saying, "It's always very important to me to do as much as possible in camera, and then, if necessary, computer graphics are very useful to build on or enhance what you have achieved physically." CGI is not the entire canvas to Nolan. It is simply a tool. It's a very old school method that isn't used anymore, but Nolan has taken that ball and just run with it. And when it comes to Hans Zimmer's score, that dude has never made a bad score in his entire life, though this one may be my favorite. It can be very loud and bombastic, there's the dun 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 dun, but he can also be very quiet and delicate with dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Hans Zimmer's music is not distracting in any way. It mixes into the movie just in the most stellar fashion possible. Hans Zimmer, at least in terms of modern composers, is he's the GOAT. And now let's talk about the part that you're probably waiting to hear me talk about. The ending. Now, I'm going to get into some spoilers, but I'm going forward knowing that you all have probably seen this movie already, but in case you haven't, skip forward to this part of the video for my final thoughts. Basically, at the end, Cobb and the team get the idea planted. However, during the heist, Saito gets injured and will die, and the team makes a point of knowing that they have taken a sedative, which means that when they go to sleep, they're not going to wake up unless they get a kick. And if they die, they don't wake up back into the real world. They go into limbo, which the movie makes a good point of showing that after being in limbo, you might want to go to hell for some R&R. Saito dies and goes into limbo, but Cobb, since he has been there before, because he planted the idea into his wife's head, played by Marion Cotillard, that the dream world was the real world and the real world was the dream world. Cobb has been there before and goes in there to rescue Saito, correcting the mistakes that he made with his wife. And the beginning of the movie, we see Saito as just this withered old man, as the movie says, an old man filled with regret, waiting to die alone. And Cobb goes back there and says, "This world is not real, and you have to wake up." And Cobb wakes up seemingly in the real world. And he's been blamed for his wife's murder, but those charges have been cleared, and he goes home to see his family. The movie has been building this up for some time. It was okay, he just wants to go back and see his children. That's all he wants. He doesn't care about money or anything like that. To him, his children are everything. And when he finally sees his kids' faces, my heart just absolutely melts. But there is a part of the movie that has just been incredibly highly debated ever since its debut. In the movie, Cobb has this thing called a top. It's called a totem. And he spins it, and if it falls over, he knows that he is in the real world. However, before he goes to see his kids, he spins the top. And it doesn't fall over right away. However, it wobbles, it wobbles, it wobbles, and then it cuts to black. The question is Cobb in the real world, or is he in a forever dream of some kind? Theories have been bouncing everywhere, saying that he's in the dream world but he doesn't care anymore, or that he's in the real world and his name has indeed been cleared. Basically, from what I've read in various interviews with Nolan is this. No matter what your answer is, Nolan is probably going to just say, sounds about right. He's keeping a massive poker face about the whole thing, and he's quoted as saying, "The real point of the scene, and this is what I tell people, is that Cobb isn't looking at the top. He's looking at his kids. He's left it behind." I don't know Nolan personally, though I'd love to meet him one day, but I don't know him personally, but from what I was able to garner from that quote, he's essentially saying that it really doesn't matter if he's awake or asleep. He's with his family. That's all he's wanted, and that's exactly what he got. But if you have a theory talking about the ending to Inception, whether he's alive or dead or awake or in a dream, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this. But at the end of the day, what else can I say about Inception that hasn't been said by people more qualified than I will ever be? This movie is incredible. It's my favorite movie of 2010 and was this close to being my favorite movie of the decade. It eventually turned out to be Whiplash, but if I were making like a top 10 list of the decade, this would be like number 2 or number 3. It's that good. And this would turn out to be kind of the end of an era for Nolan. We've reached the end of the golden age of Nolan from 2005 to 2010. And in my next video, where I talk about The Dark Knight Rises, we officially enter the silver age of Nolan, which lasts from 2012 to the present day, seemingly. Though the jury is still out on Tenet. But that is all for me, guys. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. If you like this video, please be sure to leave a like, comment your thoughts down in the comments down below. And if you like this video and you want to see more like it, hit the subscribe button and click the bell to allow notifications. That way, when a new video drops, you'll be the first to know about it. My name is Ryan Cam, and I'll see you in the next one.